So another thing that we can do is pick up functions from external parts with the import model, and in this case the import model enables me to pick up certain functions that have a certain specialty of flavor, or even using code outside of base Python. We'll study libraries and packages with a lot of detail. For now, just know that we can pick up code that is not readily available in your environment. For example, the log function, which is applying the logarithm to a specific number, if I call just the log, you'll notice that this will yield an error because the name log is not defined. What we know here is that Python doesn't understand what log really means. Okay, when we have this name x is not defined, that means that x is nothing for Python. And in this case, log is a function that doesn't exist in base Python. The function that exists in base Python comes from a library called math. So to access most of mathematical operations, we need to go to this math library. I can import the math library. Again, we'll have the opportunity to check this with import math and then calling math.log. In this case, I'm going to access the log function, the logarithm function, from the math library. And in this case, Python can follow a route throughout this library and check, oh, inside the math model, there's a logarithm function that I can apply. Cool, I'm going to apply that one. And this math library is installed right off the bat when we install Python. There are many other libraries, most of them, for example, for machine learning that you've probably read about in the internet that are not in base Python, and we need to pick them up from the internet somewhere, okay? And now let me do something, which is applying this logarithm to this 10, not to the -10 because the -10 will give us something different. But if I now run math.log, I'll get the logarithm of this number 10. I think this logarithm is base e, but you can also check it in the arguments of the function. Sometimes I'll do these small hints of things that you can do by yourself that will be pretty important when you are coding in Python, and that you'll find a lot during your lifetime as a coder. Okay, so not only the type of the object determines what functions we can apply, but also the domain of that function. For example, we know that we can't apply logarithms to negative numbers. Let's see what Python will yield if I try log -10. I have a value error, math domain error. Because logarithms by design, and this comes from mathematical rules, you don't need to know this, by design logarithms can be applied to negative values. In that case, Python also encapsulates that logic here in the logarithm function. Now the important thing, of course, I've applied this to -10. Do you think I can apply to an A? Let's see. Of course not, must be a real number, not str. Keep in mind this str because we'll deal with it in a couple of minutes. Now before we go to the next lecture, which will deal with other data types, let's see something. When I apply mathlog 10, and just a thing, of course, remember that I may do here an explicit print or just return the last instruction. Returning the last instruction is a bit more practical while I'm teaching, so I don't have to write print all the times. But of course, you can write the print and just have an explicit print instead of the return of the cell. Okay, in the end, the end goal for what we are doing right here is exactly the same. Now notice, this is a really big number, right? And it has a dot. This means that we are dealing with another type of data here in Python, which is the float data type. That means numbers with decimal points. And we'll see more about them in the next lecture. So I'll see you there.